Welcome back to Canine Search. My name is Mitchell, and this is Canine Nala. And today we are reacting to a tracking police canine trying to find a lost 3-year-old. Let's get into it.
Right there, literally in 2 seconds.
Okay.
And he does play right here, but he knows not to go in the woods. But if I'm not with him, he might. That's the
Okay.
trail that I saw him go down.
He's not walked that far. He's only. You'd be surprised.
He's our only son, so he's our world. Oh no.
Treacherous woods behind their house. Police must use all
Look
of
at
their
that puppy.
manpower, tools, and training
I know.
if they're to overcome the daunting odds. But if it seems that all hope is lost on this tragic morning, maybe a vigilant neighbor and diligent officers can save the day.
And you said, back?
Yeah.
Come on, this way.
Oh no.
Police in DeLand, Florida spring into action when a desperate woman calls 911 to report that her 3-year-old son has vanished into the woods behind her house.
Oh, there's a ton of woods back here. Let's hope he ended up in like a neighbor's backyard.
There's a lot of people out on the street, though.
There's the
I would
puppy.
hope
They got a
that
nice
if,
looking
a
lamb there.
person saw a 3-year-old by himself walking around.
That would be a welcome outcome because the Florida woods harbor a number of threats, including rattlesnakes, other venomous snakes, wild hogs, and even bears. For a child this young, even the landscape itself can turn
Yeah, so
hostile.
it's interesting when you're either a police officer or search and rescue or anything, as you're going to the call, you're automatically thinking about what you're going to need to do, what the scenario might be, and how you're going to prepare for all of those things. So yeah, so for one thing, it's a small child, so we're really worried about, wildlife getting the child. We're worried about drowning. That's a really big one. Drowning's, one of the most common. Drowning is one of the most common things that happens to children, unfortunately. And so yeah, so it looks like, check the easy areas first. Go in and check there. Okay, so finally the canine officer arrives. It's like him and Canine Midnight to the rescue. So right here, he's asking for a scent article. So he's like, hey, can I get a blanket or a pillow or just something that has the kid's scent on it so I can give it to the dog. Nice. Okay, so immediately sends him. So Stopa is going to be his word to, hey, check. This is the smell we're looking for. Go ahead and check for it. Boom. That's what you like to see. You really like to see a canine really getting going. Yeah, you see this? Boom. Scents the dog. And boom, hits it hard. So it looks like he goes to the back of the house and does another track. So what you're seeing here is the dog's excited. He's looking around. The dog's actively looking for trail. And it looks like he's doing a good job. Okay, it looks like he stops to pee real quick or something like that. But then, he's immediately going. He's moving in a direction. And that's what you really want to see, right? So this canine took a quick sniff. And ideally, this is probably a particularly recent trail, probably half an hour, maybe a little bit longer. But that's a fresh trail. The trails that Nala and I will work on are like 24, 48 hours old. That's a very old trail. The older the trail gets, the worse it's going to get. It's going to be harder and harder to try to track them. Yeah, that's really unfortunate. I mean, drowning is really one of the things that we really, really worry about. So you see, yeah, the body-worn camera here. So the canine's looking. I mean, he's pulling with direction. It's not my favorite style. Typically they train us to, use 2 hands on the line. You can use 1 hand too, but you want to have a nice line tension. It gets tricky. Certainly it's tricky in areas like this. So especially right now, it's like, hey, it's really thick, brushy forest. It gets really hard to track on that line. And so sometimes it's okay to let the dog run. But you should practice that beforehand. But typically when you see like me and Nala track, you will see good line tension because our line is the way that we communicate. She's telling me stuff down the line. I'm telling her stuff down the line. It's actually a 2-way communication. And if she's on, if she's off, that all makes a big difference depending on the line tension. And so it's important that you have good line tension so you have that solid line of communication. Because otherwise, you really have no good way to communicate with each other. Yeah, okay. So at this point in time, Midnight is looking, but he's just got no real good scent. And you can imagine how, if a young kid is running in this dense forest, scent can really get dispersed quite a bit, but also it can get stopped. So if a young kid runs through, do they find him?
Back towards the
Do
residence.
they find him?
Kaden!
10-9. Okay, good. We saw something walk past, but don't know if it's you guys.
Could have been a bird. Okay, looks like they just came back.
He's still working.
So okay. So let's explain. Yeah, so you restart the dog. That's a common thing. It happens. So the issue with a big dense forest is the dog has scent. He finds the trail, and he's going and he's going and he's going. And then if a kid, if a small child especially took a turn into the woods, over a log, or just into a thick brush area, that scent can get trapped along the borders or the edges of the forest. And so it's not easy. Like, a lot of people think you can just follow them footstep for footstep. But the issue is that if that scent starts getting blocked on these trees and woods, it's very confusing, because in this whole line of trees, you'll have scent all stacked up. But the kid has gone through the bushes or through the shrubs or through this scent blockade, and it's probably on the other side. And so you have to do this process of elimination. You're not always going to be able to just punch through with the dog and be like, boom, okay, here he is. Usually what happens is you're going to keep going, and then you're going to run out of odor. And that looks like what happened here. Looks like the dog had odor. He's following trail. He's on. Dog's going, and then the dog doesn't have anything, right? So you're saying, it doesn't look quite right. Well, the story is you've passed a turn. You've missed a turn. And that happens. It happens a lot, especially in these these wilderness environments. And so the trick is you have to turn around and do these, circular loops, do these big loops in order to find the trail again. So you may come back. You might have to restart altogether, which looks like Midnight's doing here. But it's not easy to find that intersection of where you need to push through. And so you need to go slow, methodical, and try these different areas until you again reacquire scent. And that's why it's really important when you're training a tracking dog that you're able to read, have good line tension, and know when they're out of scent. Because if we're pushing along, if the kid push through on this side, and we're pushing along, and all of a sudden within 5, 10, 15 feet, my dog's like, oh, I'm out of odor. Well, what did I just learn? I just learned that we're not up here anymore. In fact, we need to turn around, and somewhere in this vicinity, right, either right or left, is where the turn happened. So the better the dog is at saying, oh, I'm out of odor, the tighter you're going to be to the actual trail, and be faster at finding a person. Okay, so let's get back. So they're rescenting the dog. Looks like they're starting from the start.
Assures Jennifer that the search is still
And let's see
ongoing,
what happens.
But the dog's unsuccessful first effort is not an encouraging sign.
Again, I wouldn't say that was unsuccessful. What it looked like to me there is that the dog had trail, they had scent, and it went down the path. I don't know exactly what's going to happen in the rest of the video, but to me, it's like, all right, this dog's interested in that area. It sounds like the kid probably went in that area and probably in that direction. We, at some point, have lost trails and lost odor, so we're not exactly sure where the kid is, but he's probably not out front. He's probably not in any other direction. And so if, based on that first preliminary search, I would be like, hey, I'm pretty confident that the dog was very interested in odor, that the kid was there, right? It would be a different story if the dog had no odor. It's like you give him the scent and the dog's just kind of messing around, not doing anything. Well, that gives you information too. It means maybe that kid was never there in the first place, right? Is this mom lying? And again, I don't want to immediately go, straight to accusing parents of lying by any means, but it's just that, maybe the kid started off in a different location. Maybe he was taken, right? Maybe, we don't know exactly what happened, but if the dog's not having interest in that area, that's a big clue. And now we can start thinking maybe outside the box a little bit. But in this scenario, in this case, what's happening is that dog has scent. That dog is telling me, yep, this kid was here not so long ago, which confirms what the mom was saying. And not only that, the dog went in a specific direction, which tells me the kid is probably somewhere in that direction.
In another area of the woods, police come across an ominous sight.
Oh no.
Uh-oh. Are they worried he's in the shed?
There's like a shed over there. You want me to check it out?
Like an abandoned looking shit?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it locked? I guess there's just
Back
nothing
at
in
the
it.
house, Midnight reacquaints himself with the child's scent.
I can tell right now that dog is tired. You can see the tongue's hanging out. You know, it's always good to make sure you get your canine plenty of water. They're your companion. You need to take care of them. They will work without any water, food, whatever, because they love it and they love you and they want to do their job well. But as a canine handler, it's important to be like, hey, let's get a little bit of water for this dog, especially it looks like in this environment. I'm not sure. Maybe, I don't know if they said it was in Florida or where this is at, but it's probably pretty warm out and dogs have a big coat. And so it's important to make sure you bring water on these tracks, especially for search and rescue. So when we're out there, we're expecting to be out there for 3, 4, 5 miles. That's a very long track, especially in summertime and heat. We always want to carry water on us to make sure our canine is well hydrated when we're doing this kind of tracking stuff. Oh, so the lady there asked, do you need more scent? Like, do you need more articles of clothes? And the story is no, you really don't. The way that I typically do it is it's absolutely practical and fine, especially in an emergency situation, to grab the whole coat or the jacket or the pillowcase or whatever that kid's scent article is or the subject's scent article is. But what we actually typically do is I use gloves, and I have so I use gloves and I have a collection kit. And so I will actually collect a piece of that article if I can, or I will transfer the scent to a unscented cotton ball or cotton pad, and then I can carry that scent with me. And so then I'm not having to carry around this big jacket. Other police officers aren't having to handle it, or I don't have to have my other search and rescue volunteers handle this article. It doesn't mess with the dog that much, but it could. I've heard of numerous stories of search and rescue canine trackers who show up to the scene. They're all ready to track. Their dog is really, really excited to do this. And the deputy on scene goes and hands them, hey, here's your scent article. Get started. Great. So then the dog gets the scent article and the officer, walks away. And the very first thing the dog does is turns and beelines it for that officer. And it's because not only is that subject's article on there, but there's also other scents on there too, right? So you might have mom on there. You might have the officers on there. And for the canine, they have to figure out, okay, there's lots of scents here. Who am I searching for? And typically you do something called like a scent selection. And so you have everybody around you when you start the trail who you're not looking for. So for example, if all the people who have grabbed that scent article are around you, the dog goes around and goes sniff, 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 sniff. Yep, I smell you and I smelt that article and you're there, but you're right here. I already found you, and you're here and you're here. And so that way I'm not beelining it for the officer. There's only one scent that I'm looking for. And that's what's so miraculous about these dogs, is that they are able to specifically grab scents that you're looking for, which is incredible, absolutely incredible skill. So anyway, that's typically the thing I would do is grab a little scent article for myself. I'd make it with my collection kit, and then I'd carry it. And if we needed to restart, typically we don't, or you typically don't need to rescent a dog. Once they have it, they have it. But I will tell you, as a human with a human brain, with a human pea-sized brain, it makes me feel better if I can open that article back up, let the dog sniff it again, and be like, okay, this is what we're tracking for. It probably has no difference at all to the dog. I've done this several times with Canine Nala. She doesn't care. She knows what she's looking for, and it's either there or it's not there. And me giving her the scent again, it doesn't change anything. But it makes me feel better, so I like to do it sometimes. Don't have to do it. It's a human thing. Dogs don't need it, but they don't care. So it's kind of funny. All right, let's keep going.
The search for Caden has grown into a local event, with many people pitching in to help. Still, the
Yeah,
police
see, he's
department's best
traveling with
hope
direction.
remains with
There's an
Midnight.
obvious trail there.
That's good, boy.
See, now they have good line tension,
That's good, boy.
and he's moving with purpose. And look, there's this fence area.
Midnight is working hard under difficult conditions, but he eventually
I'm
comes
curious
to an
about that
impasse.
impasse. So
It seems the
he's moving with
trail has
direction,
gone
he's moving with
cold
purpose.
once
It
again.
seems like he's probably on trail. What was the impact? It's the gate, the fence? It's interesting.
Officers with Midnight begin to lose faith in their trusted tracker.
I know.
Oh, no, this is every canine handler's worst nightmare, is when the team starts to lose a little bit of faith in you. Yep. You know, it's tough. It's like not a good feeling when you feel like you're on, and then all of a sudden it's like, all right, what happened? We don't have odor anymore. It looks like, you know, Canine Midnight is still, you know, going for that scent article. He's still doing his job.
Oh, no, he's on. This forte's dope. No, I got this. I know he finds people, but I'm just saying, just if we want to get corrections dogs out here, the man trackers.
It might be
Do you
better.
have a connection? You want me to go through dispatch?
I don't have a connection with them.
5 like B Central.
Come on, dude. Stop wrapping up.
No.
You're going to frustrate me, and then you're going to get frustrated.
I love that. Not the situation, because this is a difficult situation. It happens, right? You get going somewhere and you feel like the dog's on, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, what the heck? But the line he says, hey, dude, you're going to frustrate me, and then you're going to get frustrated. And it's so true. It's true because I think your dogs really do feel your emotions. If I'm stressed, if I'm worried, all of that emotion travels down the line, and the canine feels all of that. And so it's so important as a canine handler to be able to be in control of your emotions and to use them properly. So it can be really tough, especially when you're on a really tough search, to stay composed, to stay calm, especially when you don't do this often. It sounds like Canine Midnight is really good at drug detection and has some specialty in tracking, but they probably don't get to use it a whole lot. That's just sort of what I've seen in general, and that's okay, right? If you're fully focused on drug detection, that's great, but you can sort of lose confidence in those tracking abilities if you don't use them all the time. It's the skills that the dogs always have, but as humans, you know, with pea-sized human brains, we don't always get it. So typically what happens, the dog still has odor, but we're, you know, either improperly handling the line, we're not reading the dog correctly, we're just not quite in sync at that moment. And that happens, and that's okay. So, you know, at this point, what I would probably do if I was that officer is just calm way down, just relax for a second. I would put the canine in typically a down stay. So we're relaxing, and usually you do that so you focus the dog's energy, you focus the dog's ability on the task at hand. We're not worrying about anything else, so we're not messing around. We're focusing on the task at hand. Additionally, get some damn water. Get some water for that dog. Maybe there's water out there. Maybe they cut some of the video and they actually did get some water for him. But you know that the mucosal membranes, the tongue is really good for scent detection. The nose is really good for scent detection, but they have to stay moist. When those overheat, when they get really, really dry, their scent detection is significantly impacted. And so it's important to keep all those pieces moist. You'll even see on some of my videos with Canine Nala where I will give her water by hand, because normally she's like so giddy up and go. She just wants to get out there and track that she won't even drink or anything. And so what if I'll actually hand water her, and then while I do that, I'll make sure that I get a bunch of that on her nose, just to make sure it's nice and moist and that we're good to go. That was actually a tactic I learned at a recent training, and I really like it, and it seems to be effective. And so, you know, I've continued to use that as well. But this is a tough situation. It's hard. It sounds like they did the absolute best they could, and it's always okay to get another canine out there. that's fine. Oftentimes we do that in search and rescue too. We do something called leapfrogging. And so especially on these days where it's really, really hot, or maybe the conditions, the weather conditions aren't optimum for tracking, is, I will start first. I will go maybe a mile or half mile or quarter mile or whatever, my dog's ability is. And then I might have another tracking dog take over. And so we do this leapfrogging. So the canines get a chance to rest. They get their water. They can stay focused, especially, again, in these suboptimal conditions.
Where's he at? Did we overtake the dog and mess him up? Oh, he found it again. This is strange.
Windows of hope are beginning to close, but it's clear listening to Jennifer talking to a neighbor that she's not giving up the fight.
He was gone. Gone. I was screaming his name, and there's trails back there. I went down the trail. There's a trail that intersects, and there's people over here. I don't know what backs up over here. This all has happened in the less than 15 minutes. I don't want to hear that he's lost. I just want my stuff to be found.
You couldn't have walked that far. There's only 3.
You'd be surprised.
I mean, they got a lot of energy.
Back at the house,
Yeah, again, you can always be surprised by how far people can actually walk. You think, they couldn't have gone very far, and they end up way the heck over there. So, just because you think something's not quite possible, that's always comes back to trust the dog. Trust the dog in my
Jennifer
case.
seizes on a hideous possibility.
Hey, miss, do you think you could peek over in that pool?
And again, you think wilderness tracking should be easy, but it can be really hard and really challenging at times, especially when you have these lots of dense forest, like what it looks like in this footage. Because what happens again is you're on a trail, which is great, but then if the little kid darts into this big blackberry thicket or a thick bush, all that scent is blocked, and you might be close to the scent, you might be close to the subject, you can get really close near him and circle him, but it's tough to get even have you or have the canine push into that because there's no scent there. It's all along this barrier of the wall. And they want to follow the scent. They don't want to go through it. It doesn't always make sense.
However, the officer with her has heard something over the radio that could change the direction of this agonizing day.
Okay, that's good.
Okay, cool.
got
So
some new
they're out with
information?
her neighbor. They said about 4 or 5 minutes ago she's heard a little kid crying in the woods. So they're
Okay, that's good.
checking right now.
That's good news.
The officer just told me that a neighbor just heard a kid crying in the woods.
So it's a good thing. He's there. No problem. I'm trying to keep you updated.
He's our only son, so he's our world.
I gotcha. I completely understand.
Everything in my life, my husband.
The neighbor who reported the sounds actually cautions officers that it might have been cats. Even so, in a search with very few leads, her story is the best thing they have to work with.
Interesting. So then they pulled Midnight out, it looks like.
And you said, I'm back. Come on, this way.
Which is good too. Like it's right. So it sounds like they got some information. Sounds like a lady heard maybe some crying. They had explored that area where they were at. They found some trail and knew that the kid might be in that direction, but then were really having a difficult time back in that trail. And so, based on this new information, let's reuse the canine, deploy them in this new area, and see if we can make some headway. So this is a good plan here. I hear some crying sounds. Yeah. So again, importance of getting water, taking care of your canine companion.
Hey. Come here, buddy. Where you at? I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm coming. Get him, Bubba. Find him, Bubba.
Yeah, that's some thick stuff. See, look at that fence. Weren't they there?
5, 10, and 11 Central. I got them.
They found him.
Very excited search dog.
Come here, buddy. Come on, I'll take you
Search
home.
dog. See, what's interesting here is it looks like they found the subject. I can't quite see him yet, but look how thick that brush is. And I kept talking about over and over again that thick brush can really build up a scent wall. So the dog can be smelling scent all the way around it, but never quite push in. And so again, it's important to realize when the canine is out of odor, because you could walk back, you could walk all the way around that big scent wall, and then if you keep saying, a negative there, a negative there, a negative there, well, there's only one place the kid could be, which is inside that wall, or that that brush wall.
I'm gonna take you home, okay? Come on. Midnight found them.
Nice. See, the other thing too is look at that. Look at the fence. That looks very similar to the last fence that they saw. Yeah, we can maybe do it side by side. So I wonder. I almost think like maybe Midnight actually went into that area and they were tracking all around there, and maybe they were quite close. Unless it's just like a whole, I don't know, like bunch of same fences, but it seems like they must have been close to the kid. They must have got within, but maybe he just now started crying. I don't know. And that wraps up the last bit of this video. I think that canine did several really good jobs. One, it located the original track. So we knew that the kid must be in the area. That's step one. Boom. Great. Amazing, right? The canine did a lot. Secondly, it found trail. It found the first trail where the kid went down. Boom. That's amazing. That's exactly what we want to see. And then 3, we talked about how it can be really tough to find. It can be really tough to push through these scent walls. And it looks like they were close on that first or second track attempt. It really did seem like that same fence was there. So they were really close. The canine was doing its job. It knew what it was doing and it was closing in. But again, it comes back to the handler staying resilient, not getting frustrated, not passing that frustration down the dog, and then figuring out what you do with all that information. Because everything the canine does, its body language, its behavior, is new information that you can use. And you can make new plans with that information. And so it takes a lot of experience, a lot of time, and a lot of practice, patience, and training in order to bring all of that together so that you can make a successful find. And it's also really important if you're, a flanker out there. So flankers are those folks who carry the scent articles and follow the canine and follow the handler around. Have faith in your canine handler. Have faith in the dog. They're tracking. They're doing their job. And if they're not finding the subject right then and there, they're eliminating areas. They're doing lots of work that would take you lots and lots of man hours. And that's the reason we use these dogs. They are better than us, stronger than us, smarter than us, are living, breathing biosensors. And really the difficulty that we have is trying to read them and understand them. And the better that we get at that, the better canine handler and the better canine unit you have. Because it really is a partnership. Yeah, the dog could go find them on its own, but if you want the dog to lead you to the kid, you have to learn how to read them and work with them. And you have to figure out what they're telling you and what that means and what we're going to do with that information, because you both make decisions as a canine handler team. And that's why I love this gig so much. I love training. I love learning. And, it's not easy. It's always evolving. And you're always figuring each other out. Nala is a different dog than she was at 8 months old. She's now 2. She's a different dog than she was at 1. She's developing. She's growing. She has moods and behaviors, and she likes certain things and she doesn't. And so it's just like working with another human. Just like working with your best friend. You have to figure each other out and come to an agreement, and then you can become an awesome canine handler team. Anyway, that's it for this video. It's kind of a newer series. Let me know in the comments if you like it. And if you want to see more of this kind of content where I react to other either police canines or tracking canines. And yeah, let you know my thoughts, feelings, general reactions. Cool. All right. See ya. Bye. Bye-bye for now. Bye-bye.